Akeem just arrived from work, looking tired. Marsha walked in with a warm smile. "Hi, honey." "Hey, babe, how was your day?" Akeem asked as he took off his shoes. Marsha sighed. "The usual. How about you?" "I'm good," Akeem replied, but then he looked serious. Marsha, looking at her husband, quickly she said, "Akeem, we need to talk." Akeem shook his head. "I'm not in the mood, Marsha. I've got a lot on my mind." "But why?" Marsha asked, confusion clouding her eyes. "You've been distant lately." Akeem stood up, pacing the room. "I just need some time. That's all." Marsha's voice softened. "All right, I understand. I'll be here when you're ready to talk." Days passed, and Akeem tried to focus on work, but he couldn't shake the feeling something was wrong. One evening, he came home to find Marsha waiting for him, looking more radiant than ever. "Welcome home, Akeem," Marsha said with a smile. "Thanks, Marsha. You look beautiful. What's the occasion?" Akeem asked, noticing her effort. "I just wanted to do something special for you," Marsha replied. "I know things have been tough." Akeem smiled and pulled her into a hug. "I've missed you, Marsha. Every day." Marsha beamed. "I've missed you too. Come, let me show you what I have planned." Akeem followed her into the dining room, where a delicious meal awaited. They sat down to eat, enjoying each other's company. Later that night, as they prepared for bed, Marsha turned to Akeem. "Akeem, I need to tell you something." Akeem looked concerned. "What is it?" Marsha took a deep breath. "I've been feeling really tired and weak lately. I went to see the doctor." "And?" Akeem asked, his heart pounding. "I'm pregnant, Akeem," Marsha said softly. Akeem's eyes widened. "Pregnant? But we haven't been close for months." Marsha's face fell. "I know, Akeem. That's why I'm scared. I don't know how this happened." Akeem felt a rush of emotions, confusion, anger, betrayal. "Marsha, who is the father of this baby?" Marsha started to cry. "I don't know, Akeem. Please, believe me." Just then, there was a knock on the door. It was Akeem's best friend, Leroy. "Leroy, come in. We need to talk," Akeem said, his voice shaking. Leroy entered, looking worried. "What's going on?" Akeem looked at him, his eyes filled with pain. "Marsha is pregnant and it's not mine. Do you know anything about this?" Leroy's face turned pale. "Akeem, I'm so sorry." Akeem's heart sank. "Leroy, are you the father?" Leroy nodded, tears in his eyes. "Yes, Akeem. It happened one night when you were away. I regret it every day." Akeem's anger boiled over. "How could you do this to me, Leroy? We were like brothers," Marsha sobbed. "Akeem, I'm sorry. Please forgive me." Akeem turned away, feeling his world crumble. "Both of you get out of my house, now." Leroy and Marsha left, leaving Akeem alone with his thoughts. He sat down, feeling the weight of betrayal and sadness. How could this have happened? Akeem sat alone in his quiet house, the echo of his anger still ringing in the empty rooms. He didn't know how long he sat there, staring at the walls, trying to make sense of the betrayal. The night felt endless, and sleep was elusive. The next morning, Akeem decided he needed some air. He left the house and wandered down to the beach, the place where he always found peace. As he walked along the shore, the cool breeze off the sea helped to clear his mind. He thought about the years he had spent with Marsha, the dreams they had shared, and the future they had planned together. Akeem found a spot under a palm tree and sat down, looking out at the waves. He didn't notice when an old man with a kind face and gray hair approached him. "Mind if I join you?" the old man asked. Akeem shrugged. "Sure, why not?" The old man sat down beside him. "You look troubled, son. Want to talk about it?" Akeem sighed. "It's a long story. My wife, she betrayed me." My best friend. He betrayed me too." The old man nodded slowly. "Betrayal cuts deep. I've been there myself, but sometimes talking about it helps." Akeem found himself opening up to the stranger, telling him everything that had happened. The old man listened patiently, nodding and offering a word of comfort now and then. When Akeem finished, the old man spoke. "You have every right to be angry and hurt, but remember, forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. Holding on to anger will only weigh you down." Akeem thought about that. "I don't know if I can forgive them. It feels impossible right now." The old man smiled gently. "Take your time. Healing doesn't happen overnight, but don't shut yourself off from the possibility. You deserve peace." Akeem nodded, feeling a small sense of relief. "Thank you. I needed to hear that." As the sun began to set, Akeem headed back home, feeling a little lighter. When he arrived, he found a letter on the doorstep. It was from Marsha. With shaking hands, he opened it and began to read. "Akeem, I know I've hurt you more than I can ever make up for. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want you to know how deeply sorry I am. I've moved in with my sister, and I'll stay out of your life as you asked. I'm giving you space because I respect your need to heal. But I also need to tell you something important. The baby is not Leroy's. I found out from the doctor. It was a mistake. He mixed up the dates. I don't know how it happened, but I'm still pregnant, and I don't know who the father is. I wish I could give you a clear answer. Please take care of yourself, Akeem. You deserve happiness and peace. Marsha." Akeem felt a rush of confusion and a sliver of hope. Could it be true? Could the baby really be his after all? He didn't know what to think or feel. As night fell, he sat on the porch, staring at the stars, trying to find answers in the vast sky. Akeem stayed on the porch until the first light of dawn began to touch the horizon. He felt the weight of Marsha's letter in his pocket and the uncertainty it brought. Could the doctor really have made a mistake? The thought kept him awake, swirling in his mind. After a restless night, Akeem knew he needed answers. He decided to visit the doctor and get to the bottom of this mystery. As he walked into the clinic, his heart pounded in his chest. "Good morning, Mr. Clark," the receptionist greeted him. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but it's urgent," Akeem replied. "I need to speak with Dr. Johnson." The receptionist nodded and asked him to wait. A few minutes later, Dr. Johnson appeared, looking concerned. "Akeem, please come in," he said, leading Akeem to his office. "What can I do for you?" Akeem handed him the letter. "I need to know if what Marsha wrote is true. Did you make a mistake with the dates?" Dr. Johnson read the letter and sighed. "Akeem, I owe you an apology. There was indeed a mix-up with the dates. Marsha's pregnancy is more recent than we initially thought." Akeem felt a surge of emotions, relief, hope, and confusion. "So there's a chance the baby could be mine?" Dr. Johnson nodded. "Yes, there is a possibility. I recommend a paternity test to confirm." Akeem thanked the doctor and left the clinic, his mind racing. He decided to call Marsha and meet her to discuss what they had learned. He dialed her number, and after a few rings, she answered. "Hello?" Marsha's voice was hesitant. "Marsha, it's Akeem. We need to talk. Can we meet?" Marsha agreed, and they decided to meet at a small cafe in town. When Akeem arrived, he saw Marsha sitting at a corner table, looking nervous. He took a deep breath and walked over to her. "Hi, Marsha," he said, sitting down. "Akeem, thank you for meeting me," Marsha said softly. "I know I've hurt you, and I'm so sorry." Akeem nodded. "I spoke with Dr. Johnson. He confirmed there was a mistake with the dates. We need to do a paternity test." Marsha nodded, tears in her eyes. "I understand. I want to know the truth as much as you do." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their situation hanging between them. Finally, Akeem spoke. "Marsha, I'm still hurt and angry, but I also need to know if that baby is mine. If it is, I want to be involved in its life." Marsha reached out and took his hand. "I want that too, Akeem. No matter what happens, I want us to figure this out together." Akeem squeezed her hand, feeling a small glimmer of hope. "Let's take it one step at a time." They scheduled the paternity test and agreed to meet again once they had the results. As they left the cafe, Akeem felt a mix of emotions, but knew they were on a path towards finding the truth. A week later, they received a call from the clinic. The results were ready. They met at the clinic, both nervous about what they were about to learn. Dr. Johnson greeted them and invited them into his office. "The results are in," Dr. Johnson said, handing Akeem an envelope. Akeem's hands trembled as he opened the envelope and read the results. His eyes scanned the paper, and then he looked up at Marsha, tears welling up in his eyes. "It says, 'I'm the father,'" Akeem said, his voice choked with emotion. Marsha burst into tears, reaching out to hug him. "Oh, Akeem, I'm so relieved." Akeem held her close, feeling a mix of relief and joy. "We're going to be parents, Marsha." As they left the clinic, Akeem felt a renewed sense of purpose. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew he wanted to be there for Marsha and their baby. They had a long road ahead, but they were ready to face it together. And so Akeem and Marsha began the next chapter of their lives, filled with uncertainty, but also with hope. What challenges will they face as they prepare for their new arrival? How will they rebuild their trust and relationship? Only time will tell. Akeem and Marsha left the clinic hand in hand, their hearts lighter, but their minds filled with questions about the future. They decided to take a walk through Emancipation Park to clear their heads and talk about the steps they needed to take. As they strolled along the path, Akeem glanced at Marsha. "Marsha, we have a lot to work through. I want us to be a family, but we need to rebuild our trust." Marsha nodded, her eyes filled with determination. "I know, Akeem. I'm committed to doing whatever it takes. I want our child to grow up in a loving home." They talked for hours, making plans and setting goals. They agreed to go to counseling together and to take things one day at a time. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they were both willing to put in the effort. A few weeks later, they had their first counseling session. The counselor, Miss Thompson, was kind and understanding. She listened as they talked about their issues and gave them tools to communicate better. "Trust takes time to rebuild," Miss Thompson said. "But with open communication and patience, it's possible. Focus on your shared goals and support each other through this journey." Akeem and Marsha left the session feeling hopeful. They practiced the techniques Miss Thompson had taught them, and slowly but surely, they began to see improvements in their relationship. One sunny afternoon, they decided to visit Akeem's parents to share the news about the baby. They were nervous but knew it was a step they needed to take. Akeem's mother, Mrs. Clark, welcomed them with open arms. "Akeem, Marsha, it's so good to see you. Come in, come in." They sat down in the cozy living room, and Akeem took a deep breath. "Mom, Dad, we have some news. Marsha is pregnant." Mrs. Clark's eyes widened with joy. "Oh, that's wonderful news. Congratulations. I'm going to be a grandmother." Mr. Clark smiled warmly. "We're so happy for you both. This baby is a blessing." As they celebrated with Akeem's parents, Marsha felt a sense of belonging she hadn't felt in a long time. She knew there would be challenges ahead, but with the support of their families, they could overcome anything. Over the next few months, Akeem and Marsha continued to work on their relationship. They attended counseling regularly and leaned on their families for support. Marsha's sister, Yvonne, was especially helpful, offering advice and encouragement whenever Marsha needed it. One evening, as Marsha was preparing dinner, Akeem walked into the kitchen with a small wrapped box. "Marsha, I have something for you," he said, handing her the box. Marsha looked surprised. "What's this, Akeem?" "Just open it," Akeem replied, smiling. Marsha unwrapped the box and found a delicate silver necklace with a heart-shaped pendant. Inside the pendant was a tiny photo of an ultrasound picture. "Akeem, it's beautiful," Marsha said, tears in her eyes. "Thank you." Akeem took her hand. "This is a symbol of our new beginning. No matter what happens, we're in this together." As the months passed, Marsha's belly grew, and they prepared for the arrival of their baby. They decorated the nursery with bright colors and filled it with toys and books. Akeem often found himself sitting in the nursery, imagining the future with their child. One night, as they were lying in bed, Marsha turned to Akeem. "Do you think we'll be good parents?" Akeem smiled and kissed her forehead. "I know we will be. We've faced so much already, and we're stronger for it. Our child will be loved and cared for." The day finally came when Marsha went into labor. Akeem rushed her to the hospital, and after hours of labor, they welcomed a beautiful baby girl into the world. They named her Amara, which means grace. As Akeem held Amara in his arms for the first time, he felt a profound sense of joy and responsibility. He looked at Marsha, who was exhausted but radiant with happiness. "We did it, Marsha," he whispered. "We're a family." Marsha smiled weakly. "Yes, Akeem, we did it." They knew there would be challenges ahead, but they were ready to face them together. With their love, determination, and the support of their families, they felt ready for the future. And so, Akeem and Marsha embarked on their new journey as parents, embracing the joys and trials that lay ahead. What new adventures and challenges will they encounter as they raise little Amara? Only time will tell. As the months turned into years, Akeem and Marsha navigated the ups and downs of parenthood with a mixture of joy, patience, and love. They watched Amara grow from a curious toddler into a bright and cheerful child. Their relationship, once strained and fragile, had grown stronger through their shared commitment and faith. One evening, as they sat together after putting Amara to bed, Akeem opened the family Bible that had been passed down from his grandparents. He looked at Marsha and said, "You know, Marsha, our journey has reminded me a lot of the stories and lessons in this book." Marsha nodded, her eyes reflecting the same sentiment. "Yes, Akeem, we've faced so many challenges, but we've also seen so many blessings. The Bible has always been a source of strength for us." Akeem turned to the story of Joseph, a tale that had always resonated with him. Remember how Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and yet he forgave them and saved them during the famine. It reminds me that forgiveness and love can heal even the deepest wounds. Marsha listened intently, feeling the truth in Akeem's words. Yes, and like Joseph, we've learned to trust in God's plan, even when things seemed impossible. As they reflected on their journey, they saw clear parallels with biblical lessons, forgiveness and reconciliation. Just as Joseph forgave his brothers, Akeem learned to forgive Marsha and Leroy. This forgiveness allowed them to heal and move forward. The Bible teaches us to forgive others as God forgives us. Matthew 6:14-15. Trust in God's plan. Despite the challenges and betrayals they faced, Akeem and Marsha learned to trust that God had a plan for their lives. This trust brought them through difficult times, much like how Joseph trusted God's plan for him even in his darkest hours. Genesis 50:20. Akeem and Marsha's commitment to each other and their family echoed the biblical call to love one another deeply and to remain committed through trials. 1 Corinthians 13:4-7. Their love for Amara and each other became a testament to the strength of their faith and unity. The story of Akeem and Marsha highlighted the importance of family support, much like the families in the Bible who stood by each other in times of need. The support from Akeem's parents and Marsha's sister Yvonne was crucial in their journey. Proverbs 17:17. Years later, as Amara grew older, she often asked her parents to tell her the story of their love and the challenges they overcame. Akeem and Marsha always made sure to include the lessons they learned from the Bible, hoping to instill the same values in their daughter. One evening, as they gathered for their family Bible study, Amara asked, "Mom, Dad, why do we always forgive and love each other, no matter what?" Akeem smiled and took Amara's small hands in his. "Because, Amara, God teaches us to love and forgive, just as He loves and forgives us. It's what keeps our family strong and our hearts full of joy." Marsha added, "And because, my dear, love and forgiveness are the greatest gifts we can give to each other. They heal wounds and build bridges that last a lifetime." As the family prayed together, they felt a deep sense of peace and gratitude. Their journey had been tough, but it had also been filled with God's grace and blessings. And so, Akeem, Marsha, and Amara lived their lives rooted in the timeless lessons of the Bible, continuing to grow in their faith and love for one another. They understood that while life would always have its challenges, their faith and commitment to God's teachings would guide them through anything. The moral of their story is clear. Trust in God's plan, embrace forgiveness, and let love be the foundation of your life. For in doing so, you will find strength, healing, and a joy that surpasses all understanding. If you have learned any lesson from this story of Akeem and Marsha, please share your thoughts in the comments section. To all our subscribers and new viewers, we say thank you. If you had not subscribed, please press the subscribe button to subscribe. Also like and share to your friends and family. Thank you once again for watching.